All right, so these last examples are definite integrals. And so a lot of them will use U substitution, but the more and more that you do U substitution, the less you'll actually have to write out what U equals in du. So hopefully on some of these, we can kind of skip straight to the antiderivative. So in this case, the antiderivative would be e to the negative x, and we're going to have to put a negative in front because of the U substitution. Think about if I were to take the derivative of negative e to the negative x, I would want it to equal what I started with. And so I have to have that negative in front to make it end up being positive. Otherwise, there would be a negative answer there. And so we're doing this from 0 to 1. So that is negative e to the negative 1 minus negative e to the 0. So negative e to the negative 1 ends up just being 1 because it's it doesn't end up being 1. It ends up being negative 1 over e minus, and e to the 0 ends up being 1. And when I minus a negative, it ends up being plus. So negative 1 over e plus 1 would be my final answer. And this is approximately 0.632. In the next example, we're going to have to do U substitution, but this time our u equals 1 plus e to the x, so our du is e to the x, which is what I already have in my numerator. So this is a fairly easy U substitution. So 1 over u du. This ends up being natural log of u. And so then I replace the u back. 1 plus e to the x from 0 to 1. So I'm going to plug them in. Natural log of 1 plus e to the first minus natural log 1 plus e to the 0. So I get natural log 1 plus e minus natural log of 2. So that would be my final answer if I didn't have a calculator. Once I type it in, I get 0.620. So the last one, u, would be e to the x. The derivative is e to the x. So this e to the x on the outside is taken care of when I replace du, when I replace e to the x dx with du. So it would be cosine of u du. The antiderivative of cosine is negative sine. So I replace u back, and so it's negative sine of e to the x from negative 1 to 0. So negative sine e to the negative 1 minus a negative sign, so it ends up being plus. Actually, you know what? I messed up. It's a positive sign. Sorry. Positive sign. Positive sign. And so this is going to be minus. Minus, there we go. But I caught my mistake. Sine of e to the negative 1. And this one should be 0. Sorry, guys, about that. So sine of e to the 0 would be sine of 1 minus sine of e to the negative 1. So that would be your final answer. If you type it in your calculator, you're going to get 0.482.